Warjacks of CRYX. Upon witnessing the first steam-driven constructs that emerged from the foundries of the mainland, CRYX moved quickly to claim the secrets of their design. Their spies infiltrated the Iron Kingdoms, then watched and waited. When the greatest mechanical minds of each generation succumbed to age and happenstance, the CRYX were there to distur and collect their remains. Relying upon forensic necromancy, the agents of the Nightmare Empire ripped the knowledge of warjack manufacture from the minds of the dead. They brought back to CRYX the fundamental principles upon which the Dragonfather's empire would build its own unique dark mechanica. A fusion of mechanical design and dark occult practices, CRYXian necrotechnology has evolved over the centuries in isolation, distant from the mechanica of the mainland, despite their shared origin. By integrating the remains and sometimes the spirits of the dead within their mechanical designs, necrotechs can utilize the residual energies of annihilation and pain to enhance their machines. All aspects of necrotechnology can draw upon the power of death itself, and these necromechanical materials augment that occult process. Mainland arcane engineers view the necrotech creations as vile corruptions of their craft, but in CRYX, necromechanica is considered a refinement of otherwise limited fabrication processes. Origin and design. The origins of CRYXian jacks are difficult to pin down, due in large part to their unique genesis. Unlike the warjacks of the mainland, which derive from iterative design processes and emerge uniformly constructed from large production facilities, CRYXian helljacks and bonejacks represent distinct conceptual belongings to their own creators. While modeled on templates for specific weapon configurations, each is the product of inspiration and mad genius, painstakingly cobbled together by a skilled necrotech in his workshop. Moreover, the qualities of the warjack's production and design can be challenging to pinpoint even when examining the salvage of multiple machines constructed from a single necrotech. Unless they are destroyed in battle, bonejacks and helljacks tend to operate in the field for centuries, during which time the design philosophies of the necrotech who built them could undergo radical shifts. The most vital element of any CRYXian warjack is its cortex. Although the basic principles were stolen from the mainland, CRYXian cortexes incorporate different materials and necromechanical fusion. Like the bonejack or helljack itself, each cortex is unique. No single codified process exists by which they are assembled, though all are inscribed with glyphs that bear similarities to those that animate corpses as thralls. The dark rites that grant these cortexes their animating spark install a powerful cunning in the jacks, and allows them to react quickly to unexpected situations. With this shrewdness comes an appetite for malice that only increases over time. The degeneration of the cortex is of little concern, as the warjack will likely become more brutish and bestial as it degrades, an advantage much desired according to CRYXians. The intelligence bestowed by such a cortex is animalistic and predatory, with a burning hatred for all life. CRYXian warjacks resemble unnatural beasts with the instinct to hunt and kill, but lacking the ability to satiate that savage hunger by feasting on what they slaughter. The death lust of a bonejack or a helljack cannot be slaked, only restrained or encouraged in turn. Elements of helljack design can be traced to the blasphemous Librium Mechanicus, which allegedly details the creation of the deathjack. Bipedal helljacks, such as the Slayer and the Reaper, in particular, employ a similar design aesthetic. Master necrotech Varric Kerr was said to have been directly influenced by the Librium and its forbidden secrets when he created the first Seethers, and the tome's wisdom has informed the work of countless other necrotechs. While most CRYXian warjacks utilize similar chassis designs, necrotechs all work to their own standards, elaborating on some functions while simplifying others. The production of these jacks entails a lengthy process of development and the design, and while some necrotechs steal secrets and dark lore from their colleagues, they can't help but add their own refinements and flourishes. So long as their undertakings continue to meet the needs of the Lich Lords, they are given considerable liberty to experiment as they please. Despite, or perhaps because of, the madness that proliferates among the necrotechs, remarkable innovations are common in both helljack and bonejacks. Necrotechs readily grow jealous and protective of their innovations and do not share the details of their activities, except with the Lich Lords who control them. A jack built in the necrofactorum beneath Dreg's Mouth might differ greatly in materials and construction from its counterpart manufactured inland from the Blackwater docks. Each of these Blightborn machines, however, is admirably suited to its dire purpose. Those that are not rendered down for their parts are then remade. Laboring in blazing foundries with armies of thralls to serve them, necrotechs work with a variety of raw materials. This includes mechanical components salvaged from the battlefield, as well as the skulls, teeth, and horns of beasts, plus anatomical materials of varying states of decay. Necrofactorums combine maddened improvisation with aspects of a crude assembly line process. Commonly used parts are created in bulk by mindless thralls and machinery, while more complex pieces are handcrafted by the necrotechs themselves, making use of a hodgepodge of supplies. When materials run in short supply, few necrotechs hesitate to make substitutions. Each jack is as much a distinct work of art as the product of industrial manufacture. The necrotech's eccentricities are tolerated so long as the quotas of the Lich Lords are met. It is not unknown for one of these fearsome figures to descend upon a necrofactorum to make an example of necrotechs too caught up in their own creative visions to produce enough quality machines for war. When properly motivated, CRYX's tireless necrotechs can create jacks at a prodigious rate, aided by non-traditional techniques and materials and by their willingness to cut corners and improvise. Living mechanics must eat, sleep, and inevitably go old, but the undead can toil day and night for decades at a time. There are necrotechs in the CRYX who have steadily produced helljacks and bonejacks for centuries, uninterrupted. Addendum: Necrotite. CRYXian helljacks and bonejacks benefit greatly from necrotite, a source of fuel and energy too atrocious for other nations to even consider. This foul mineral is found in soil thick with carnage and resonates with atrocities where it is seeped in blood and rotted flesh, gathered power from the ambient suffering. Extremely concentrated, necrotite burns like coal, but lasts significantly longer and is as toxic as it is efficient. The exploitation of necrotite as a source of fuel provided an important breakthrough for CRYX. The Lich Lords had long experimented with manipulating the energies of souls to replace or supplement coal as a fuel source, but those were a limited resource too impractical for widespread use. Lich Lord Fulmenus was responsible for unleashing the full potential of necrotite. After necrotechs developed a variant of the steam engine, necrotite proved it to be an ideal fuel that would come to power countless mechanical apparatuses, especially CRYX's formidable helljacks and bonejacks. Necrotite sustains intense heat for far longer than regular old coal, but will poison the living under extended exposure. CRYXians, however, do not suffer such effects. In time, the Lich Lords honed methods to refine and concentrate necrotite and fabricate machine rigs to rapidly extract it from newer battlefields, ensuring themselves a source of unending supply as suffering itself. Bonejacks and helljacks running on necrotite not only have a far greater operational ranges than it would be possible with coal, but the smoke they produce also serves as a kind of tertiary weapon system. Living enemies unprepared to deal with the noxious choking fumes that necrotite emits are exposed to the insidious substance, which can result in a prolonged and a painful death well after a battle is resolved. Military role. The necromantic energies that lend a spark of reasoning to CRYXian cortexes also gives the warjacks an appetite for slaughter. Their unique necromechanical minds possesses a savage and predatory guile, amplified by the dark energies lingering in the suffering-laced necrotite that burns in their engines. Both bonejacks and helljacks revel in death and carnage. Some of these aggressive traits have carried over from the deranged minds of their masters and creators, installed in the machines through the runes inscribed on their components. The smaller, nimbler bonejacks are produced in greater numbers than the lighter warjacks typically by the other nations, and are employed differently as well. Fast-moving bonejacks are designed to carry specific armaments and serve as mobile platforms for any number of terrible devices. Foremost among them is the Arc Node. Originally stolen from Signar, the secret of the Arc Node remains among the most valuable innovations plundered through necromancy. Many variations on this device now exist due to the unique approaches of individual necrotechs, but its use is widespread among the armies of the CRYX and has become a hallmark in bonejack design. Arc nodes enable warcasters to extend the reach of their already formidable powers, and no other nation has embraced this battlefield tactic as enthusiastically as the CRYX. Helljacks serve much the same role for CRYX as heavy warjacks do for mainland nations. Nonetheless, they are typically swifter and more lightly armored than other heavy warjacks their size. These powerful machines tear through tough resistance, creating opportunities for bonejacks to reach their prey and make use of their arc nodes and various weaponry. Perhaps the most terrifying to coastal inhabitants, though, are the various amphibious helljacks. Dumped over the sides of CRYXian black ships, these machines walk along the seafloor and emerge from the waves to strike at vulnerable positions, playing a central part in the effectiveness of CRYXian raids and other military operations. CRYXian Colossals. Unlike the Iron Kingdoms, CRYX never decommissioned its original Colossals, first conceived in the aftermath of the Orgoth occupation. After witnessing the power that such machines could bring to bear on the battlefield, the Nightmare Empire coveted the Colossals of the mainland. The secrets of how to realize such machines were coaxed out of the remains of countless inventors, arcane mechanics, and mechanical engineers, and then refined by the necrotechs of Skell. The initial fruits of their labor was the Kraken, the first truly modern colossal, which predated those used outside of CRYX by centuries. Having identified the weaknesses in the clumsy contraptions used by Signar and Khador in the Colossal War, the necrotechs refined their work to fashion a sleeker, more agile, and more adaptable machine. Following the development of the first Kraken, the necrotechs swiftly set about exploring improvements to the design, stretching the limits of necromechanical understanding in their pursuit of the next breakthrough. Control of the original CRYXian Colossals was tightly regulated, granted only to the Lich Lords themselves. The amphibious Colossals were deployed as a secret weapon to strike powerful blows against CRYX's enemies, and were critical to accomplishing many key objectives, most notably during the Scarred invasions. With the escalating incursions in recent years, Colossals are now deployed freely alongside their other machines of war. Unlike regular warjacks, a CRYXian Colossal is by necessity the product of many necrotechs working in concert. Under other circumstances, the necrotechs would have difficulty collaborating with their fellows to realize such a monumental task, as they would quickly devolve into infighting. However, Master Necrotech Mortinbra, the self-styled Numen of Necrogenesis, set in place the machinery and her most skilled subordinates to ensure the success of this work. Uncompromised in her standards, she sometimes forces her underlings to tear down entire months' worth of progress and painstakingly rebuild to meet her exacting specifications. Addendum: CRYXian Warjack Adornment. No two CRYXian warjacks are exactly alike. In addition to differences in their material composition, it is common for a necrotech to apply specific markings to its creation. These might include runes etched onto the hulls, or the addition of black iron ornamentation, vicious spikes, or the bony remains of great beasts. In some cases, these ornaments go beyond mere embellishment and imbue the jack with specific necromantic powers. End addendum.